Welcome, everybody, to the second stab at video for the Pride Rules podcast. I guess this would be what, 38.5? It's the UFC Long Island preview, and we couldn't have a Long Island preview without our good friend and co-host, Tommy D. How you doing, Tommy?
Oh, what's up, man? It's nice to be back in Jersey for the weekend, getting ready to watch these awesome fights tonight. It's been a wild week for us, hasn't it, brother?
Good. I don't think I've been accused of engaging more fuckery since my college days. So it's good to feel young again in a way. But I haven't been in a flame war like that in a long time. I usually stay away, but it's been crazy. Good God. You want to fill them in a little bit on what's been going on?
Well, yeah. As most of you had listened on our show this Monday night, we were challenged by Mr. Tyler King to raise $500 for his buddy Superman, who had broken his tibia and his fibula in a professional wrestling match, and he set up a GoFundMe for him. And we were challenged that if we were able to raise in 24 hours, Rules podcast icon would be on the fight shorts and the banner. And not only did we raise the $500, we raised it in so we are now sponsors of Tyler King in the Ryzen organization. That will be on pay-per-view at the end of the month when he's fighting the Iranian steroid machine, Amir Akbari.
I mean, it's just documented. Wikipedia has it. Everybody has it.
Well, he's banned from competition, so
Yeah.
You're
The guy
okay.
pisses hotter than Yoel Romero, and that's saying a lot. You know, I love
Yoel
my
was
man
just
Yoel.
yeah, but Yoel was yams, remember?
That's true. It was the super Cuban yams, I think, that solve kidney, lung, and pancreatic cancer, right? They
Something
have
like
that
that,
in
yeah.
Cuba. Yeah. Fuck me.
So yeah, we're official sponsors now.
I'm super excited,
So
man.
fighters,
I'm pumped out. I'm pumped
come
up,
come
man.
come see us, fighters.
Yeah, honestly,
Obviously, you
like,
can't see us if you're in the UFC, but Bellator World Series of Fighting, come
yeah.
see us.
Hey, who knows? The Reebok deal, with the way the Reebok deal is going, might be the way of the dinosaur. You never know, honestly. But I'm thinking, World Series of Fighting, Bellator, Ryzen, local promotions. Obviously, we're looking to get Damon Blackshear on the show. Ace Hill, he's hiding doing his own thing. He's going to be on tonight. I'm going to be listening later to their podcast, Fighter, the Writer, and the Fans. But I want him on as a guest. So every local fighter, we're blessed. We're on one of the coasts, Tommy.
We are.
It's
We're very blessed.
great,
It's nice.
great fights, and to that
It's
end,
really nice.
I think they're finally. Can you believe this is the first time they're coming to Long Island? I know it just got legalized, but what the hell took them this long to come to sweet sweet Long Island, right? Like what?
I don't know. I mean, you have so many fighters from up in that area. I mean, they're pretty much all on the card, all except for our buddy in the show. Maybe he could tell us why he's not on this goddamn card.
Who? Iaquinta? I
Um,
didn't catch that. You cut out real quick. Were you saying Ray Janelle?
Eddie, Eddie Gordon.
Oh,
Of course, Al
yes.
Iaquinta's not on this card. Aljamain Sterling's not on this card. I mean, Aljamain's fighting next at the UFC 214, so you can't really complain that much.
Yeah.
But you would think it would be a 100% Long Island heavy fight card like it is when you go to
To
Britain,
Brazil
like
or
it is when
Brazil,
you go to Brazil
right?
or whatever country that they're in. When they went to Ireland, it was all fucking Irish guys,
You
Irish
could you
British
could throw a
guys.
stone and hit 75 people on the card that were local fighters. There's people that are kept on rosters, you and I know, just because of their asses
Yeah,
that they put in the seats when you go to a far off destination, which, you know what? I love. You get local fighters, you get everybody fired up, but you can't tell me that Long Island's not chock full of savages. We know that's the case, man.
I mean,
You know what I mean?
I guess they couldn't have Team Sarah versus Team Sarah, but I mean, it should have been a 100% Team Sarah heavy
I mean, it's an
match.
embarrassment of riches with Team Sarah, honestly. Like you guys, that whole team, it's almost like there's too many good
Yeah,
people on on that squad. It's crazy.
I
It's
mean, I guess you can't really complain because Aljamain's fighting next, at UFC 214, which I think it's next weekend, right?
yes, yes, and that stack card hopefully got some sweet ducats. I'm pulling for him on the card. I'm pulling for his wallet as well, as much as it's worth. You know, I hope he's getting compensated. John
Yeah,
Jones better show up. He better not tank the
clean.
card for everybody. Yeah, honestly, or at least give me a Brock Lesnar clean. I'd settle for a Brock Lesnar level of clean, where the event still goes on, and then we just hash shit out later. Like fuck
Yeah,
it, you know. But
yeah. Well, I mean,
please, please do me a solid.
we'll see.
I
But
know.
for right now, we got a pretty awesome card
Yes,
coming up this weekend. I'm excited. I just got done watching the weigh-ins. Everybody made weight. There was
beautiful.
no bullshit at the weigh-in. It was 100% perfect. So I'm ready whenever you are, bro. Start firing
Yeah,
at the hip.
let's jump in. We got the first one we're gonna take a look at is number 14th ranked Ryan LaFleur versus Alex, the Brazilian cowboy, the poor man's cowboy, in my opinion. Because I mean, come on. But hey, no racism. I'm just saying he's not Cerrone. Oliveira. That's a great card. Who you got? Who you got and why?
To be honest, I think LaFleur is going to win this by decision.
Mm,
I think he's a little bit more calmer and poised in the cage than Oliveira is.
mm-hmm.
Oliveira's a little wild, and I think LaFleur will just open that up and just take him down, dominate him on the ground, ground and pound him, and just grind his way out to a 3 round decision.
Are the illegal knees legal in this fight? Because if they are, Oliveira is going to have a grand old time, and I'm worried about our boy LaFleur. But if they're still illegal, who knows? It's New York, right? It's a New York card, Tom.
Yeah, I'm not excited about the New York. Honestly, I'm not because the New York State Athletic Commission has fucked up more events than
And fighters'
seems
lives,
to be getting
bro.
paid off. You know what I
Right?
mean? It's
Like we have to take into account. It's not just Sometimes I find myself being really pissed off, being like, "Ah, fuck, they took $60 out of my pocket, blah blah blah." Right? But then when you really sit and reflect on it, these are fighters' lives that they're fucking over. Right? Look at that commission
yeah. It's
has
I
a
don't
lot of
know. I mean,
learning to do, bro. I don't get it because they've been. It's a sports town. It's a sports state. We have too many teams, if you ask me. Buffalo Bills can go fuck themselves, but like, there's there's too many teams, and
we
we
got
can't.
teams that are in New Jersey that are called New York for Christ's
You know what? And hey,
sake.
easy tiger. But yeah, fuck the Jets. I'm with you on that. But it's you would think that they would have this figured out. I mean, there's instant replay. Like, I don't understand it. You have so many tools at your disposal to get accurate fight results. And it's like a bunch of kids out there trying to type away and figure out Shakespeare sometimes. I don't get it. And it even puts experienced referees in a shit position because
Well,
who's running the show? You don't know, right? And good
well, I
referees look
mean,
retarded. Sorry for the word,
it's
but they do.
yeah, I don't know. I think the only one that kind of went off without a hitch was one. That wasn't a problem, but
Mm.
the events after that, what was it, the one in Albany, and then
Well, Albany's a hot mess
yeah,
as it is. I'll tell you, in between New York City and Albany, I live right smack in the middle, and I'll tell you, I'd rather face whatever the hell is going to happen if I go south than whatever the hell I'm going to get into if I go an hour and a half north. I'm pretty much smack in the middle, and I could have told you. If things went
yeah.
foul in MSG, I'm not going to Albany.
I just
Fuck.
don't know the kind of people that they have on the commission that really know anything about mixed martial arts. I mean, if it's boxers, guys that are that deal with mainly boxing and know
Hmm.
nothing about mixed martial arts, I could understand the disconnect.
The
You know,
weirdness, right?
yeah, for as bad as it was, in the past, I don't know. I'm hoping none of that happens this time. So, no knees to the face, guys.
Yeah,
If
please.
even if the hand is on the ground and
No,
it's just don't
just
do it.
make it a rib shot and make it just or choke a
Old
guy. All
rules.
right,
Stop. Pretend like it's the old rules. Stop
please.
screwing yourselves over as well as the other fighter. It's not worth
Honestly,
it. Don't
no.
ruin a good fight by something stupid.
Honestly, it's still too weird and new. It's still too touch and go. But I have LaFleur taking this, and I see it as a decision as well. I see he weathers any storm that Oliveira brings. Which he does. He, like you said, he's wild. He's crazy. He likes to emulate our boy from Colorado. In the entrance as well as in the ring. Except he's not a slow starter, so go figure. But I think if somebody remains calm and composed, they're going to be able to grind out a win on him. He's unranked. I hate to say it, he's unranked for a reason. I think LaFleur knows that this is a fight. This is a fight LaFleur has to win. You can't be number 14 and wanna break into the top 10 and be losing to guys like Oliveira. I love Oliveira. He's a very exciting fighter. I think he's one of those fighters that's gonna forever have a seat on at the table because of the 45 Brazil cards they have to fill. But LaFleur, that being said, LaFleur has to win this fight. And it's a trap fight, I guess, in a way, because he could
I don't know
easily
if it's
sleep on Oliveira.
I don't know if it's as much of a trap fight as it is just a
Must win.
yeah,
It's a must win.
maybe. I don't know. I mean, this fight really doesn't really move the needle for me because you
Doesn't blow
have
your hair back, as my boy
no,
says.
not really. Just
I see.
because
I see.
Oliveira is just one of those guys that he's like a blind person that you throw into the middle of a mosh pit and his just hands are just going everywhere hoping
Oh
that you hit
Jesus! You've done this. You've done this. Is what that sounds. I'm sorry. That sounds a little too
him.
likely like the poor legally blind guy that you had drive to the show. He's our DD. He's
Yeah.
fine.
I
He
mean, just
threw.
because you see it, like he runs out and tries to get in the clinch and try and work his Muay Thai. And a guy like LaFleur, as fresh
Smooth
as he
operator.
is, if he
Yeah, it's over.
changes levels, he puts him on his back. That's it.
He's gonna change, and
He
all he
just
has to
needs
do is
three
change
rounds
levels
of
three
that.
times, right? 3 times, wins the 3 rounds, keeps him there. You're done.
There you
I
go.
agree. I'm glad that this is not the they have it in the middle kind of the car the prelims.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. I hope LaFleur comes out with a tiger uppercut. Who the fuck knows? But not stranger things have happened. But I don't think
So at
it
least
is.
we both agree on LaFleur there.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So next up on the card is Rafael Natal versus Eric, your boy Anders. Who do we got there, Tom?
You know what? After Natal's breakdown when he fought against Tim Boach,
Oh God.
I'm kind of leaning towards Anders. I think Anders might just knock his dick in the dirt, to be honest with you.
And you know what? I think it's getting to a point where Natal might be getting that veteran's chinniness at this point. Like he's been because for a while there he used to have a pretty decent mouthpiece. Like he was one of those guys that had a great jiu-jitsu game, was blessed with a relatively decent chin, so that could weather the storms as he tried the old school Gracie like leg stomp and then clinch, because that was how he fought his first 3 fights in the UFC, if you remember. And then
Yeah, well,
he,
I mean
yeah,
there was a time for him.
there was, but Sapo's time, I think, has come and gone. As much as I hate to say it, because anybody nicknamed after Giant Frog gets my admiration. I mean, to have that and back it up, you got to be one tough son of a bitch. But I think as much as I hate that nickname, and I think he needs to do something about that forthwith. Your boy Eric Anders. I mean, I think you know what it is. I'm on the UFC.com website, and he's one of those blacked out guys Yeah, not racial, guys. Please, he's literally like there's no picture of him. I think if he trades in his nickname, they'll put his picture up. I think they're just like, Chief, you can't have. We were not associating you with this ridiculousness. He's 7-0, and I think he takes it from the tall. So I think we're both on the same page so far, right?
Seems it.
Yep. So this brings us to, as you so eloquently put it before the broadcast, the curtain jerker of the prelims. Lyman Good, Brad's Tiger Shulman teammate, versus let me give this a try here. Eliseo Zaleski dos Santos. Not bad. I'm proud of myself here.
Wow.
Yeah. So, hey, you know what?
That's very good.
Your boy's international. What can I say?
It's very good.
Hey, it was. It just flowed.
Shout out to AKA Thailand. How you doing, guys?
Hey, I'm trying to go for my best look here, so watch out.
Yeah, with the big hands and the big head.
Hey, you know what? Peter Dinklage is a gangster lately, so you compare me to a midget, I'm fine with that. That dude's slinging his midget dick all up and down Westeros, so I'm okay. I'm totally okay. He might put a diving cap on and bring that big head to bear. Who knows? God bless him. All right. Head pressure, right? That's the old school jiu-jitsu way. My school is all shoulder and head pressure. Fuck it. Might use it down south. But so who you got in this last card, this anchor fight on the prelims?
You know, it's funny. I can't believe it took this long for Lyman Good to finally be in the UFC. He had his opportunity at the Ultimate Fighter 19,
Mm-hmm.
and he came up a little short in the fight to get into the house. I don't think that said anything against him at all, because he was still an amazing fighter in Bellator, and I had the pleasure of seeing him fight when he fought for Lou Neglia at Ring of Combat back in, God, it had to be 2007.
Shout out to Ring of Combat, though. They're still doing the damn thing, and they're an exciting bunch of fights. If it's a
Yeah,
local card by you guys, anybody listening or watching, I should say now, I got to get used to this video shit. But Ring of Combat's amazing. I mean, it's affordable. You can afford, you can bring a family, and it's great night of fights. And yes, I would bring a family to a cage fight. I'm sorry, anybody can judge me, but
well,
there's
you have Ring of Combat and you have Dead Serious as well. They work together.
yes, yes,
They work
and
together.
it's the regional shows. We don't have a farm system in this sport, so really the regional shows like that,
They're all feeder leagues. That's
yeah,
what they are. They're feeder leagues.
and they're
So
fine with it.
yeah, so Lyman Good came from Ring of Combat. As you said, he's Brad Desir's teammate at Tiger Showman's.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I think he's going to come out in this first fight. I don't think he's going to have that octagon adrenaline dump that most guys have because he's
No,
been such a veteran in the cage.
mm-hmm.
I think he's going to come out, and I think he's going to get a decision over this guy.
I think so too. I think he's and no knock against him. And this is almost me trying to tell him that I'd like him to do this. Is yeah, he's not going to have the adrenaline dump, but I want him to get the W. I want him to get the W. So it's like, beat this guy that they're putting you up there for. I mean, the Eliseu is 16-5. His nickname's Capoeira, so he might try some spin and shit, as the Diaz brothers would say, but you never know. I mean, I want Lyman to get this W. He's a veteran, but I want him to get the UFC sea legs under him so that he can have the marquee fights that he deserves. Because like you said, he's been around for a minute. He's been killing people on other organizations. Brad can't speak highly enough of him. I mean, we all know how we think of Brad, and Brad's like, yo, Lyman Good's a bad man, a
Well,
little
Lyman
good.
Good was a champ,
Right. And
Doesn't
a
matter
champ
what
for a while.
organization you're in,
Yeah.
unless you're a man fighting in a battered woman's fight organization.
The Andy
You're a
Kaufman
champ.
League? Like, that's
Yeah.
all.
You know what
We're
I mean?
all
That's the only way champ doesn't mean anything.
sure.
So if you
know.
win especially that old Bellator format, that tournament style,
Yeah.
so you're a bad man when you win a belt in a tournament style.
The way
So
the old school Don Fry would say, you learned that you got steel nuts on that third fight. Almost anybody
yeah,
can do one or two in an evening, but you fight a third time in a night, you're a bad motherfucker. I don't care who you are. because you're that's total cojones right there. And like you said, it's
So
one of
yeah,
those things where
yeah,
hmm
he's a champ, and he'll always be, the Bellator champ. Do I see him getting, a shot at UFC gold? Maybe not.
and I
Not kind of
think
at
that might.
170. That's kind of tough.
But you know what though?
You know.
This I have a theory on that, and I think that if he does great performances and he still seems to be not getting moved up the rankings, I have a sneaking suspicion that that might be on purpose. Call me crazy, but it's one of those situations where I feel like I want him to get this W, but I feel like they're gonna feed him people to try to trip him up. And my heart's always gonna be with Lyman because he's a local guy, he's a New York guy. But I think he's going to have a tough road ahead of him, regardless of what happens. Because I think they're gonna literally try to shit on him just because he's from Bellator. Like there's been other folks from Bellator that they seem to have just thrown into the absolute meat grinder. You know,
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I just think that maybe he might be towards the back nine.
I hear you.
Maybe.
And
You
it's
know.
a shame
And.
because he spent some of his prime years trying to knock on the door
Hmm.
and get back in. You know what I'm saying? But fuck it. Tear through 170 as much as you can, and worst case scenario, move up to 185 and beat people up there. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're really on the
Or
back nine,
just
pull
or
one of
just
those.
fight at 170. Get a couple big name fights, and if it's your time to bow out, you can bow out, making some decent money. I
Exactly.
don't know. I don't know what his contract is. Maybe he made more money in Bellator.
You never know, honestly. With the way things are
I
going,
don't
Scott
know,
Coker's
but
not fucking around. He's really not. Like he's a fighter's manager.
or
You know.
whatever happens if, let's say, Lyman puts together, let's say he goes on a 4 or 5 fight win streak, and Dana's not giving him a title shot, he'll just go to Bellator.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly,
He'll go
go
back
back.
home.
Yeah. Go back
He'll go
home.
back home
Have everybody that he
and
wants on his
probably get
shorts. Hopefully us.
and then he'll get the yeah, and then he'll get the first shot against the 170 champ there.
Who at that point will
That's it.
probably
So
still be Rory McDonald. I hate to say this, but
probably.
Jesus, with the way that's going, that's a talk for another time. So I think
Hmm.
we're both pulling for Lyman, and so hey, we're not really doing the contentious stuff. I'm glad that the Howard Stern of MMA is not putting his wrath on me. I saw what you do
No,
on Facebook post there, so I'm glad we're friends.
no.
The next fight coming up. The next fight that we have on the docket is it's this. I think for my money is probably going to be the fight of the night. I just think it's the
Could
I
be.
really it has a I have a fun, like you get your funny feelings, Tommy. I got a funny feeling, about my boy Jimmy
It's
Rivera,
gonna be a
El
it's
Terror
gonna be a Rocky
versus
movie.
Thomas Almeida. What do we got there, brother?
Well, I mean, potentially it could be Rocky 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Creed all rolled into a three
Honestly,
round bout.
these
You know,
these lighter weights don't give a fuck,
yeah.
bro. Like Jesus
But
Christ.
Almeida might get a little too big for his britches and get caught, and I think Jimmy Rivera is going to take it. And I
What
think he's
I
going to take it like the end of the second round,
okay.
maybe the beginning of the third.
What I want to ask though is if you look at this fight promo picture, he looks like Kenny Florian's love child. First and foremost, like how Kenny's been busy. Apparently, he's had a bad back, but not a bad back for sowing the seed there. But Jimmy Rivera looking like a Peruvian masterpiece with some new tattoos. It looks like I think that's a wolf, which would make perfect sense. I really think he's gonna we have a potential title contender on our hands with Jimmy Rivera. I think Thomas Almeida is great. Like you said, he believed in dragons in terms of believing. He did. He believed that his power was somehow mythically gonna beat a dude like Cody Garbrandt. And hindsight might be 2020, but we both know that that was not the case. He might still believe it. A 21-1 record, your only loss against the guy who eventually destroyed Dominic Cruz, in his head, he still might be like, you know what? I'll get that one back in a couple of fights. You try to play that game with Jimmy Rivera, he's going to put you on his back, on your back. He is.
Yeah,
So, I think
that's
we're,
like one of those
yeah.
that like this reminds me of like one of those boxing fights for like the really really lightweight like Mexican guys
Mm-hmm.
that just throw and throw and
Forever.
throw and they
Forever.
don't move.
Nope.
They keep their head right on a straight line and both punch each other until they both
Mm-hmm.
can't see, and then when the fight's over, go to the bar and have a beer. That's
Remember,
what those two remind me of.
remember Smolka and Borg? Wasn't that a recent one where like there was transitions galore? They slugged it out. They went crazy. I think there's
Hmm.
going to be more throwing in this one. Even I don't think
Oh
there's going to.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah. It's going to be super
absolutely.
exciting.
That's why I think Almeida's going to end up getting himself caught. Like
Mm-hmm.
I said, the end of the second round, maybe early in the third. I think he's just going to go for something, and Jimmy Rivera is just going to capitalize. And honestly, I think he's going to end up kicking him right across the chin.
I could see that. I could
That's what I
really
think.
see it. He's got some quick kicks, and on the lighter weights, the kicks are usually the key to the KO victors. Honestly, so
Lightning fast.
dude, I know these guys. They kick like I punch, and I'm not saying I punch like nothing, but I'm just trying to
Paging
say like,
Edson Barbosa. Paging
yeah,
Edson
yo,
Barbosa.
oh my sweet, no, let's. I don't want to even mention my anything in the same sentence of something that the violence that man can deliver. So let's move on to the Cummins Vellante fight here. The masterpiece with that mustache, Patrick Cummins. Durkin, it rhymes too much like it's Merkin. I think he does that on purpose. Fuck his facial hair.
Probably.
Versus Gian Vellante. And I'm going to be shocked if you pick anybody but your boy. So what do you got?
You see
Yeah,
the shirt
exactly. Like,
there. Do you really have to ask who I'm going with here?
yeah, yeah,
It could
yeah.
be Gian Vellante against John
Jesus
Jones.
Christ. Really?
We'll go with Vellante because
I think if,
that's hey, extended teammates. That's what you do.
$1,000%.
You never go against them. It doesn't matter. They could
I
be
would never
fighting
pick
God. It
against.
doesn't
Look at what
matter.
I did with Lyman Good. He was an extended teammate of Brad Desires, and Brad Desires is an extended teammate of Black Hole. But I still gave him shine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So of course Vellante is going to be. Plus, not to mention, I know the story is great with Pat Cummins. The
Yeah.
whole he basically the Cinderella, but through coffee. And then he was picked. He was plucked from the assembly line. He went from barista to badass in 0.2 seconds. Um, and I like some of the back and forth, but I think he was meant to be a one off, and he stuck around. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like I feel like they brought him in, got beat up by DC, and he's just not gone away. He's got some wins, but I don't know. He's a wrestler that likes to strike.
He's like the Hanson of the of MMA.
Oh Jesus, he is, and he has that shitty hair, like the facial hair, no hair on his head, but like he insists on trying to look like Captain Fairgraves over here, with his fucking little
He'll always
pointed
be there. He'll
mustaches.
always be there, no matter what. Again, I have nothing against Pat Cummings, but he's
Mm.
just fighting against the wrong guy right
He's fighting against the wrong guy. Yeah, yeah, honestly, and I think, but what the only thing I think that rubs me a little bit sideways is that he keeps going, "Hey, I made DC cry in training 17 years ago." You know what I'm saying? And that's like, so it's like, yo, I was murking it in T-ball. So I'm gonna keep talking about it and just say, hey, I'm a fucking savage when it comes to softball. No, bro. Like, yeah, good for you. But I think we got. But how do you think your boy's gonna do it though? I'm rooting for him
I think it's
too.
going to go to decision.
Yeah, I think so. I think so as well. Maybe he catches him. Who knows? Cummins is chinny.
I I don't. Yeah, I know, but I mean, I think they both like to take punches to the head. So I think they're both just going to just punch each other out. Honestly, you know, Gion's got
Yeah, he
that
does.
stubborn guinea in him where
Yeah,
fuck head movement, punch me in the face
yeah.
and wake me up.
Yeah,
You know,
take two to give
so
one sort of bullshit that
yes,
he likes to. Yeah, he
yes.
loves it.
Um,
You know. He's
So
got a
yeah, but
neck on
I
him
don't
too.
care. You know what? It makes for an exciting fight.
Hell yeah, it does.
Um, so I think it's still going to be a good fight. I think, but I see Gian taking it in a 3-round decision. I don't think it's going to be decision. I think it'll be a split. But
Might be a split. You know what I'm really on the fence though is that I keep looking at Pat Cummins' photo and I'm like, is that Tom Lawler in disguise? I think like are we getting a mistaken identity? Is it like the same guy? I keep looking at him like filthy. Like, hold
well, if it's Tom Lawler, then Weidman's going to have to really teach him the Darce choke.
on. Finally, throw it on. Oh Lord, here we go. That was nice. Here we go. So the next one coming up is I mean this card. People are I don't know why people are sleeping on this card because I
Because it's a
ever
Fox
it's
card, bro.
that. But you know what? That means it's free, and you can spend more money on wings, which is what the fuck I'm gonna
It's
do.
it's a, people keep downplaying these Fox cards. Like I don't get it. And if it was a huge name fighters, like I'm talking like UFC heavyweight championship fight on
Mhm.
Fox. If all these pay-per-views were just on the app specifically, like WWE does,
Mhm.
people are gonna have a problem no matter what.
Yeah.
Like there are yes, those FS1 cards that are fucking 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, I got a problem with that because not everybody's home at fucking 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Or
Namely,
if you're
Tommy
doing it on
D.
the app at 3 o'clock. The
Yeah.
app at 3 o'clock.
People
Okay,
fucking
I
work.
understand people complain about that,
Yeah.
but on a Saturday night on Fox,
Yeah.
which is a huge network,
Yeah.
and the names that they're putting on there, this is not a sleeper card. This is a card that could be on a pay-per-view.
It could, and you know what's crazy? We've both been fans long enough where we were in the dark ages where you had to wait 3 months for decent cards, right? And now and pay whatever, there's a lot less than it is in today, but that's not here nor there. Now we get cards like this fairly regularly. I know what people want to say about diluting the product. I say the same thing. Those FS1 cards are a little salty sometimes. I
Some of them
love the
are, yeah.
sport to death, but some of them I'm just like, ooh, okay. Okay. We're watching basically a hyped up Invicta card with guys on it. Like some of those cards, but no disrespect to Invicta, um, but we're getting quality violence for free on a Saturday, and it's still like I don't
on
go out, but
paper,
yeah,
on paper. Just say that now on paper,
that's
because
true.
there have been some
Watch me
few
jinx it.
events like
Yeah.
I'll always go back and say this: Frank Mir versus Crow Cop, entire pay-per-view,
Oh yeah,
one.
yeah,
It was garbage. The prelims were good, but the
yeah.
entire pay-per-view was garbage.
It was
All the
god
fights were
awful.
boring.
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah,
think Crow Cop ended up getting knocked out in the end of that, right? Like they both agreed, okay, I'm going to
yeah.
throw the knee now. Make sure your face is there. I think that's how it ended
Oh god.
because the
Oh,
entire fight they
Colin.
both did nothing.
Calling the fix. I love it. I love you. I love you, Tommy. Like that's tremendous.
Fix, I just think it was just like because that's the only way it could have been played out.
Honestly,
So
nah.
on paper, this is an exciting event.
I hope nobody pulls a Randleman and like twists a knee warming up or some bullshit. Like that's how what's your feeling? I'm gonna go to you with the Santeria move here before we move on to Bermudas and Elkins. What's your feeling on this card? I know you just went
I
on and said on paper, but how do you feel?
I think it's all going to go off without a hitch. I mean, knock
Yeah,
on wood, nobody missed weight.
exactly.
Knock on wood, everybody wasn't limping walking up to the stage
How
towards
was
the end.
everybody's
Everybody,
sinuses? Were the sinuses okay? Because that's a thing. That's a fucking
I don't
thing
know.
now.
I mean, it is. There is a heat wave that's going on here on the East Coast.
Yes, there is.
So I know people's sinuses might be through the roof because of the air. So I hope nobody gets sinusitis. I said it right this time.
Yes, you did, sir. You've been WebMDing up a storm while working this week. I see. I see you, brother.
But no, everybody looked. everybody looked good at the weigh-in today. I mean,
Beautiful.
they all looked energetic and ready to go. So
Good.
I think everything it's going to go off without a hitch.
Praise Jesus.
Whether or not they show up tomorrow to fight, it's a
I hope
different
so. But
story.
you know what? That Long Island crowd, you'd have to have no pulse to not get fired up in front of the
There might
way.
be deaths in the parking lot after tomorrow night.
Yes, yo,
I
you
mean,
guys don't play. I'm just
you
gonna
guys.
say
I'm
that
from
right now.
fucking Long Island. What the fuck are you talking
Yeah,
about? I ain't from Long
I'm.
Island.
I'm just saying you're closer than I am. All right, sir. There's.
I think we're about the same distance.
You stop it. Stop it,
We're
sir.
about the
All right.
same distance.
You're under
But
2 hours. I'm well
I don't think
beyond
I don't
two
think
hours
they've
away.
had a sporting event in Long Island since the Coliseum
What, like
closed.
the polo grounds and shit? Was that in Long Island or was it
I
anyway?
don't know, but I don't think they've
Yeah, no.
had anything. I don't think they've had anything out there since the Coliseum closed.
Hey, Pace
So
Lacrosse plays in Long Island, doesn't it? I don't know. I have no fucking idea.
I have no
But
idea. I don't follow lacrosse.
me neither, bro. Who the fuck
but
does? But
but I think these people are going to be out there raring and ready to party.
yeah.
So there better be a good showing, or an entire fucking arena might go nuts.
We might it might be confused for a Lakers championship celebration, is what you're
I think
saying.
at that point Dana would be begging for Floyd Mayweather's juiced bodyguards to be out there to try and fend some of these crazy Long Islanders off if this
Bro,
thing turned out to be a
did you
shit
see
show.
that though? He's offering to take a steroid test to prove that he's not on the juice. I'm like, bro, you're
Nobody cares.
yo,
You're
the
a
I yeah.
fucking bodyguard.
I was rocking the Twitter today, and I just did hashtag attention whore on the Pride Rules Twitter. I just
Yeah, I
retweeted
mean,
that. I was like,
come
"Fuck
on, dude. You
this."
probably get paid six figures to walk around with Floyd Mayweather. Yes, you should probably take fucking steroids.
I would take all the steroids if you wanted to pay me
Yeah.
6 figures to walk around and look bigger than you know how I would invent steroids, bro. I would be back at the lab being
Yeah.
like, hold on, let me get some
I would
dinosaur
look like
semen.
Ali Akbari for Christ's sakes if I
Oh
had to
man,
be his
yo,
bodyguard.
that's a lot of steroids, bro. I don't think that's beyond the recommended daily dosage. That dude juices to start his day, end his day, in the middle of the day. He's like a chain smoker, but with roids. Anyway,
I think he hangs out with Overeem.
I think he
That's
chills
what I
with
think.
Conti for fuck's sake. All right, let's bring it back to the Godfather of fucking doping itself.
Victor
All right,
Victor fucking Conti that
Victor
Dana White
Conti.
loves to death.
Victor, yeah, he does. Victor Conti plus like Vladimir Putin are on Ali Akbari's, staff of advisors, and they're telling him how to, you know, be legal in the doping world. Yeah, fuck that. Anywho, we're gonna get flamed for this. I love it. Dennis Bermudez. Yeah, exactly. Dennis Bermudez versus Darren Elkins. This is on paper, it's closer than I think it really will be. What do you think?
Uh, I don't know.
Really?
I don't
Wow.
know. I mean, I like Bermudez, local dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Wow,
don't know.
Tommy.
I can't. I've been trying with this fight to put my finger on win the entire time.
Yeah.
I think it's who's going to shit the bed first, and I think it's going to be Bermudez.
That describes like 6 of my previous relationships. I just want to
Yeah,
put that
yeah.
out there.
It's just
Who's gonna fuck this up first? Which
yeah.
one's gonna
Who's
reveal the
gonna
crazy?
who's just gonna make that one big mistake, and it
Yeah.
just seems to be Bermudez.
Oh,
Um, it's gonna go by. Bermudez gets knocked out in the
really?
last 2 minutes of the third round.
Jesus. You're wow. And you know what? Shout out to you, sir, for making picks, and you're beating the shit out of me with the picks because you're going round and like method, and yo, it's like
Well,
wow.
because honestly, I've been studying this card for the past couple days now because I knew that we were going to be doing this, and it's just it's like each fight it could go it's 50-50 either way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Nobody is just overpowering anybody. It's
Which
just
I think is
who
going to make an
makes that
exciting
mistake
card.
first. Yeah, well, you would
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah. On paper.
You
Again,
would
we're going
hope.
to do the sign of the cross. We're going to
Yes,
burn
you
some
would hope.
incense
But I
and
think
sage.
that Bermudez. I think Bermudez is going to be down on the cards going into the third, and he's going to be going for the gusto, and he's going to end up getting caught. That's what I think.
This is the one of them I think we're gonna have to disagree on. I think him versus Lamas, I think was a wake up call of sorts for Dennis
Lorenzo
Bermudez.
Lamas.
Yeah, exactly. He was on Falcon Crest, one of my favorite shows. Shout out to Falcon Crest. Yeah, we're getting old, buddy. Um, I I think he's because what before that he had like 6 or 7 fights. He was on a tear, wasn't he? Like he was racking it up, and then they finally put him and Lamas in the cage together, and then Lamas just did that job to our boy Dennis. Yeah, I remember that, and I was like, "Yo, this is gonna go a lot closer than it ever happened," because that was such a beating of epic in all phases. You know how they say in football, "Oh, we got beaten 2 of the 3 phases." No, kidding. The bully just did him in. I think that is gonna be a big learning experience. I think he's gonna make if there's another run in him, it starts with this fight. Because if he doesn't, where the fuck does he go? You know, are there going to just be two ships in the night passing by these two in terms of their career? He has again. This is one of the fights where he has to win. So I'm picking Bermudez. And you know what? Fuck it. Let's do. I'm picking by sub in the second round. Let's make it
You think he's
interesting.
going to sub him, huh?
I think so. I think he's because I think he just ran into a better, not necessarily a better submission guy because Lamas, if I recall correctly, dinged him up before he threw the choke on. It was a beautiful choke. Don't get me wrong. I was envious.
Vaguely remember the fight.
Yeah, and I think he hit him hard, and then he caught Dennis doing the panic wrestling. He jumped on and choked him out. And I just remember it was over in a flash, but it was a lot of violence packed into it, a very small time frame, which is why I love these lighter weights in a lot of senses, you know. So yeah, I think Dennis is gonna throw that submission. I don't see what type of submission. My crystal ball is a little fuzzy. It's not as sharp as yours, so I don't know what type of submission. But I just feel like in one of those transitions, Elkins is gonna try some back elbow shit, and we're gonna see maybe a suplex into something involving the
See,
head
what
and arm.
I'm kind of thinking is, I think, like you just said before, Bermudez is going to go into his panic wrestling, and I think he's going to eat a flying knee. That's
Because Elkins, you know what? What I love about Elkins is that he starts throwing them from the back. Like when he's walking to the cage, he's in his mind, you can see in his eyes, he's thinking about jumping up and hitting somebody with a knee. He might hit a mom, he might hit a kid, he might hit an usher, and then they're just like,
somebody's
"No,
getting
Dad,
a
please."
flying knee.
Somebody's eating a flying. I came here to chew bubble gum and throw flying knees, and I'm the fuck out of bubble gum right now. That's what they're even.
It's
Yeah,
hard to chew bubble gum with a mouthpiece in. So
that's what I'm saying. But
from the
if
knees.
anybody can figure it out, it's the crazy eyed Darren Elkins. Okay, he's scaring me on when I have him up here on the UFC.com because he's kind of got the side look going and he's kind of eyeballing me crazy, but he's got like a lazy eye. I don't know if it's the lighting, I don't know if it's the angle, but yeah, I hope he
Yeah, he's
gets
got
subbed.
one eye looking. He's got one eye looking for you, and the other one looking at you.
Yeah, he really, and then he's getting mad because you're not maintaining eye contact. He's like, "This man's
Yes.
disrespectful. Fuck this guy." So you got you got Darren Elkins, and I got Bermudez now for the fight we've been dying to discuss. The main event, number 5, the All American Chris Weidman versus Kelvin. I like that Mary Jane Gastelum. What do we got? What do we got? Nothing wrong with it.
Man, I love this fight. I do. Um, it's not being as well received by people as it should be. Um, because I mean they're thinking like Gastelum's just going to steamroll over Weidman. They're they're looking at the 3 fight losing streak that Weidman has as like one of these like Angela, or what the fuck's her name? Angela Magana, Vagina. What the fuck is her name? That has like lost like 5 fights in the UFC. Like
Wow.
you're not talking about a guy who's a shit fighter who got lucky at once upon a time in his career. If you look at the fights that he lost, because of a spinning wheel kick, which he's never done in the octagon before,
And he should
and
never
Bravo
have, to
capitalized on
be
it.
fair.
No, and he knows that he shouldn't have ever done it, but
Okay.
it's a championship fight. He was trying to make it excitable. It happens. It happens to everybody, you know. Do you have that one? The Yoel Romero fight. He was winning. He was winning that fight. He went for the takedown. His head was on the wrong side. You know why his head was on the wrong side? Because he's fucking human. He made a mistake, and he's in the middle of a fucking war. Who can crush walnuts with his testicles, probably, with all the M's that he's been putting in his body. Then he
So
caught a
so the two
flying.
nuts can crack the third nut is what you're telling
Yes,
me.
yes.
That's a visual
You
I'm
know.
not gonna soon live down. I'd like to just put that out. Thank you, Tommy. I wanted to sleep tonight, but all I'm gonna be thinking, especially after that video recently that he dropped about Bisping, I want to see you. You have to respect Cuba. I'm just gonna be thinking about him cracking walnuts. Does Cuba even have walnuts? I don't think communists allow walnuts on their island.
I don't
But
know. It
good
sounded
God,
good though.
it was it's like I said, I'm not that. Thank you, Tommy. That was disturbing. Jesus Christ.
I
Anyway,
mean, he got caught with that right after the surgery that he had on his neck.
yeah,
So you had that coming into play, also with that nasty flying knee. Okay, now you got the third fight with Benedict Arnold, who decided to hop on his horse and head on into Bellator when he could have still continued his career with the UFC, probably because he realized he couldn't beat any other guys up at the top.
damn.
Hard Mousasi.
Shade. Shade to the dream catcher. First off, get rid of
He
that
was
name.
beating Musasi in that
Yeah, he
fight.
was. Yeah, he was.
And you could say, oh, well, the knees weren't illegal. Oh, the knees were illegal. Either way, the fight was being stopped for illegal knees.
Either way, that was one of the we started this
Right.
broadcast discussing the shitastic job that the officials in New York like to engage in. So that's all I really got to say about that, honestly.
But it's not like the four fights that he lost. Like he went in there and got dominated
Yeah.
in those fights. You know what I mean? Those were
Hmm.
fights that he was winning that, unforeseen circumstances, he ended up losing. But
Plus, I'd like to. It has to be said, and I think you've kind of hinted at it, but I want to get it out right in the open. The level of competition never dropped off for Chris Weidman. A lot
no.
of people with maybe even that first loss would have considered taking like not a gimme at his level. You don't get gimmies. Hell, the video game is difficult when you become a fucking champion. They keep throwing the savages at you. So in real life, it's difficult as well.
Yeah.
But he never, after the second loss, a lot of people would have said, "Hey, listen, foot off the gas a little bit, Chris.
Take a tune-up fight.
Take it exactly. Take a tune-up fight. Kill one of these kids that are coming up. You know, maybe fuck up a guy with a crazy mustache that wants to drop down from 205, aka Mr. Durkin. Who knows, right? But he's not. He didn't want to do it.
No.
He knows in his mind, and we discussed this, and it's something I want to say from we before we came on. A sucked out Chris Weidman put it on Damian Maya,
32 pounds and Taze.
and who's now a contender at 170 to fight for the title, right? If
Yep.
I'm not mistaken. That for me tells me the levels that he has still in his toolbox. And people might want to say, but the injuries, but the time, but the this, but the that. But you hit the nail on the head, and I think I'm going to let you say this. What phase of the fight does he need to keep it in order to take his Calvin?
He's got to go back to basics. That Chris Weidman that got him
Mm-hmm.
where he was early on. Don't focus so much on the stand up. Get this guy on his back and
Yes.
keep him there.
Yes.
Submit him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? This guy's submissions are amazing.
Yeah.
He could submit 50 people with a goddamn anaconda choke. Like that's his thing.
And knowing it's coming.
Or a standing guillotine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a great grappler. He's been learning from the best from the
Hmm.
very beginning.
Yep. Only
That's his bread
people,
and butter.
the only guy that, I mean, that he's famous for getting caught by, was an Abu Dhabi legend. And that was early in his career in an Abu Dhabi rule set. But that's the level that he's at. If Damian Maya couldn't put it on him and catch him in MMA, that should tell you anybody what they need to know about his level of jiu-jitsu. He is a grappling machine. And if he keeps it in his mind that I'm just going to throw 45 submissions every 5 minutes against this guy, one of them is gonna eke out a tap. I don't see what Kelvin does better on the ground. However, if my man keeps standing, I don't like it. I don't like it for Chris.
No, Kev, you know, is great at stand up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He goes in these like bursts
Yeah,
when he's standing up and could just completely overwhelm somebody. Now, you could say, well, Weidman stood there against Vitor. Yeah, Vitor was also like years older than Kelvin and off of every kind of juice that was in his body for the past 50 fucking years.
yeah. He was even like he was worse off than if he had never fought physically.
Yeah.
I think because of the injuries minus. He had less testosterone than I think like a 4-year-old child at that fight. The poor bastard. You can't go on the stuff, come off of it, and still have regular sized nuts. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't do the stuff, but you're not cracking walnuts with your nuts,
It's just this one's so confusing for me now. Obviously, you know who I'm going with.
of course.
I'm not, I would never ever go against Weidman either. Um, but this fight does scare me with Kelvin's hands, as you
Mhm.
saw in his last contest before
Yeah,
he was had his hands slapped for which I heard him talk about this now. He stopped smoking 4 weeks out from a fight. He lives in California, people, so it's legal.
exactly.
He is not smoking in competition.
Mm-mm.
Now in Brazil, he manages to piss hot. This is fucking Brazil, people.
You gotta like that was a
I mean,
setup
come
in
on.
my mind.
Well, that's what he
Honestly,
thinks, and that's why he said he'll never fight there again.
I think it was a
Um,
setup because of who he was fighting.
well, yeah, he was fighting Anderson Silva. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
they
But
can't
that,
they can't have Anderson getting embarrassed on their home soil from an American.
yeah.
They can't do it. I mean, Vanderlei got embarrassed by Chael Sonnen on their home soil in the filming of an Ultimate Fighter episode.
And Brazil went into a deep economic depression as a result. I think there's a direct link between what happened on that show and the hyperinflation that those poor bastards are still facing to this day.
And their other god getting embarrassed in 13 seconds by the little Irishman.
That I
So
mean, they've had a rough go of it, and I don't think it's just USADA, or maybe it is. Who knows, honestly?
I don't
But
know, but I mean, Kelvin, he's on a tear in this at this weight.
he
At
is, and he
170.
looks better at this weight than he does at 170. I heard a couple of podcasts talking about how he is going to be a future champion eventually, which I do see.
I mean, he's young, so he could
But
be.
they say at 170 or at 185, and I wanted to stop the tape. I know it's not a tape, but I wanted to stop it right there and
Nah,
go.
you'll never see him at 170
I
again. He said it.
fucking
Like on
hope not.
Wednesday, he was walking around at 193. So that's 8 pounds he has to cut in 2 days.
Mhm.
You could shit that out in the morning.
And look and be able to bring the type of heat that his style lends itself to.
He
You
looked
can't be
terrific.
sucked out.
They both looked terrific at the
Good,
weigh-in. They
good.
both looked lean and great shape. They both look focused. The hard part with this fight for the both of them is they both like each other so much.
I
And
got you.
that's the
Yeah,
hard thing.
yeah.
There's no animosity there. There's just a ton of respect. Sometimes that makes for good fights because you look at, like, I'm not saying that these two fighters were anywhere on their level, but Scott Smith and those guys liked each other.
Yeah, and Pete. Yeah,
They
and Pete
had
Seller.
they
Yeah,
had a war.
yeah. I mean,
They had a war. Matt Serra and Chris Lytle.
yeah, they
As
loved each other too. I think that, and they're still chill
yeah,
to this day. I think Chris is running for Congress again, having 14 more children. I don't know what he's doing out in Indiana. There's not a lot to do, so I think he's just having kids and running for public office.
sometimes good friends make for really good fights because nobody's going to get cheap and dirty, and
Hmm.
it's just it's going to be a good fight. So I don't see this as being a bad fight.
No,
It's just it could go one sided real quick for either guy.
yeah, because I think
That's
if Chris
that's the hard
establishes
thing in
that
this fight.
tempo and that, and I know Kelvin has the gas tank, especially at 185. But if Chris is pushing forward and putting that weight on him and grappling him to death, making him hold his weight, making him work out of really bad positions, getting out of position. Because what I love about Chris is that you can even potentially, and he's tightened this up even to a sharp edge here. But say you get out of a bad spot with Chris, right? Which is possible. He's not, whatever. But then he puts you right back into one. It's not, you don't get a
Hmm.
breather. And as grapplers, we both know how demoralizing that is. You get a breath of air, you're like, oh Jesus, I think I'm out. And then he's like, nah, fuck, bro. I got something else for you to worry about and fight out of. Chris is that guy. He can put that on you for 15 minutes. He can do it for 25. And he can go the distance. I think and I hope Chris takes this. I'm gonna go, my brain says either way. My heart obviously says Chris Weidman. It's not just because you're sitting across. I love what he does for the sport. You know, he's a great representative of a perfect union, in my opinion, of wrestling and jujitsu. He's a
Reasons why these cards are happening. He was
yeah,
one of the representatives going up to Albany
yep,
and speaking out. You know what I
very good
mean?
idea. Yeah, yeah, very good point.
He,
I should say he was, and if you're gonna have somebody sit in front of a less than amicable crowd of politicians and try to sell the sport, I could think of very few people, maybe like a Brian Stan, because he had the whole military stuff. Very well deserved. But
yeah, but
like,
he's not from New York.
that's what I'm saying. So who other,
You need that. Yeah, you need that. I mean, I think Matt Serra would be good too, but
true. Well, yeah, obviously. Or like,
uh,
even Henzo Gracie. But that could go either way. Henzo could get a little crazy in front of a
yeah.
commission.
Well, Henzo and Matt would be the same. Be a fuck thrown out there somewhere just
1,000%.
by accident.
But like a soft one, though, right? And it'd be like a well-meaning fuck, and it'd almost be
You'd be
like the
like, oh
commission.
fuck, man.
Yeah, the
You know?
commission would be like, I'm not even mad at an F bomb being dropped. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I love this thing so fucking much. I'm like, you know what? How do you get
Yeah.
mad at a guy?
Yes.
Dropping?
That's how it would be. And then then you have Chris,
Yeah,
who's he's very well spoken,
dude was a hero during
and
the Sandy recovery. Remember? Wasn't he fixing houses with a bum arm, or fixing his own house with a butt?
his house was
Yeah, and
destroyed.
not only was he fixing his own house, but then he was. I remember seeing footage of him helping his neighbors out when his fucking house was
Yeah.
still, 13 feet underwater. So I'll never forget that. He's a family guy.
Yeah.
He's an extended. I mean,
No, he is.
I want him. I want him to win this real bad. I want him to make another run at 185 and because I think he would still be a problem to anybody at the top tier if he fights
He's still a problem. I mean,
how he
like
fights.
it's like I said, it's not like he got dusted. The only fight where
Mm-hmm,
he was the Rockhold fight, just because of that one mistake that he
mm-hmm,
made.
mm-hmm.
But other than that, he was taking Romero down.
Yeah,
It's not like he wasn't able to take Romero down. He
that's
took him
impressive
down
too.
and quickly.
That's impressive, bro. Like if I mean, we all know that which
You're talking about a Cuban Olympic medalist,
yeah,
which is you're looking at like a DC.
yeah,
Dan
yeah,
Henderson, who wrestled in the Olympics, like an
yeah.
Olympic caliber wrestler,
And he was
and
like, because you know how the old saying goes, where it's like, there's black belts and then there's black belts who hunt other black belts. Yoel is a wrestler that like hunted and ate other wrestlers' souls for a while. Like other like people on the international scene were like, shit, Yoel's a Santero. He's a fucking scary son of a bitch. And Chris took him down, man. That
yeah,
and repeatedly. He was working a game plan. You know, he made a mistake. He got caught. And that dude launches himself at. And if you notice though, what's crazy to me, like going off a little bit on the Chris subject, is I think Whitaker took a page out of seeing how to fight our boy Yoel from watching the Weidman fight in terms of like, you know, controlling distance, dictating where you want the fight to be. Obviously, it was in kind of in reverse where he wanted it to be on the outside so he could drop some of his missiles because Whitaker's a little bit more of a stand-up specialist.
Right.
But,
He's not a ground guy like
yeah, but Weidman showed that you could solve the puzzle. Is what I'm trying to say. Like that it wasn't a ridiculous. I'd love to see a rematch. You know, who knows? With gold on the line, you never know. With whatever the hell Bisping's doing, who's holding up that division? That's the only other thing that pisses me off.
Thing. I see Weidman beating Bisping. I don't see
Oh,
getting out
I think this fight right here is harder than him versus Bisping by a long shot. You know,
and for both guys, honestly, I think it's the same for both of these guys.
I think so.
Either one of them will be Bisping.
Yeah, I could see. I would have them in my mind as like, you know, not like a 17-1 favorite, but I'd still have them both favored against Bisping. I really would, you know, and I think, you know, I think Kelvin's the future. I really do see him as a great champion down the road, but I think Chris has another run in him, and I'd love to see him start it here because it's going to be in his hometown. You know, like he's the hometown hero. It's going to be on free TV, so there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on him. So I really want to see him shine in this venue.
This is more hometown than Brooklyn or or Madison Square Garden was. I mean, this is
fucking like, Albany, for God's sakes.
This is like Rocky and Rocky 2 when they were having the fight at the Spectrum. He's like, "Oh, it's like 15 minutes from my house." That's this fight.
That's a good Rocky. I like that. But
Chris is gonna go stop at the local church. He's gonna call out Father Carmine to come on out, throw him down a blessing so he doesn't get too beat up. I think he's gonna do it.
That promo package should have happened if it was going to happen because that would have been phenomenal to hype this fight down. Like that, because you could have played that forever. And I don't think Stallone would have given a fuck about, you know, intellectual property at that point. This would have been phenomenal. Somebody dropped the ball marketing wise at the UFC. You're onto something because I would have given my, you know, cracked walnuts to see it actually fucking happen. Oh, good stuff, Tom. Good stuff.
Well, that's what Yoel's going to do when this fighting is over for him. He's going to go back home and he's going to get a little push cart. And for extra money, he's going to crack walnuts with his ball bag and sell walnuts to tourists.
You know what? I mean, with the things that have been sold on Cuban streets, that's actually not that disgusting. Now, let me tell you that. I don't know firsthand. I haven't been down there. I do have, you know, close loved ones that have been like, yeah, Cuba's still a lawless game. But that being said, yeah, exactly. I think we've gone through the card. We've got our picks here. The only one I think, if I remember correctly, that we disagree on is the Bermuda's Elkins, right? You had
that's it.
Yeah, you had Elkins. I mean,
Elkins winning.
Great minds think alike, my man. So I'm excited that we got to do the preview.
Yeah.
Yes. Tune in Monday, where we'll be breaking down, hopefully, a Weidman win, and seeing where he goes from here, what fights to make, where we'd like to go. Hopefully, talking about a return to New York again, you know, with a better commission. But yeah, I think we put in the work, Tom. Anything you want to say in parting? Yeah, that's right. Holy shit. We got, and not just
forget your coach.
Not just any guest. Yeah, he's gonna. Wow, his birthday. It's funny. His birthday is on Sunday, and you know, he's basically saying like, you know, instead of gifts, donate. So he's a gangster that way. But he's also saying if you want to say happy birthday, you got to say it at open mat. So he's always a jiu-jitsu coach to the end. You have to come out and roll. So I'll be there Sunday at 11. It's also, I think it's the last hard roll he's going to do before him versus Diego. He's gonna, you know, the weight got changed. He'll talk about it, but the weight got switched around, which
Huh.
nobody's. Yeah.
Well, you gotta, hey, you
Hmm.
gotta adhere to the UFC star.
Yeah, that's
Maybe 10 years ago, but
yeah. You know
I
what?
mean now
Nightmare,
kind
Dream,
of put
Lionheart.
that nightmare to bed.
Oh,
Um,
I think he gave the nightmare a nightmare. I think he's still he. If there's any injuries going on with Diego, it's from that fucking from that leather.
so I'm
He got.
assuming it's going to be heavier. It's going to be heavier than 155.
Oh yeah, I think he's the latest he's saying is he came. You know, I let him get into detail. You know, hopefully he'll keep it. No, fuck it. Hopefully, I hope he doesn't keep it PJ because he was tight about the move up in weight because you know he's been
You know what? At
dieting.
this point, there is no more PJ. At this point, there
Oh
is no
Christ,
more
the
PJ.
things we've
You
said. You're
can't.
right. No, honestly, the things we've said
Yeah.
can't be unsaid. We were talking about cracking walnuts with ball bags. I mean, there's
Not even just
but
that. Just the way that this thing has been going. There is no more PJ.
yeah, there
There
isn't.
is no more PG. So,
We
Mike, if
should
you're out
embrace it.
there listening,
Yeah,
just
let
let
let it
loose,
go.
man.
Let
Let
us know
loose.
how you really feel because now I think the fight's at
We want to hear it.
165. I think, and he was prepping. It's 165 now. I think, and he was prepping for 155.
That's not so bad.
It's not crazy, but you know what, Mike? Mike was getting his weight on par. You know, and it's almost like all that weight. You know this. It's all that weight. It's more the wasted time. Like, damn it, I could have been training differently, whatever, whatever. But
Yeah.
the jujitsu is a great equalizer, so I don't think it's gonna
So
be
tell him
it's
to
gonna
eat a
be that much.
46-ounce steak tomorrow.
Go to
All
yeah.
that weight will sit in his colon.
His birthday. That's great. Yeah, and then we'll all do neon belly on Sunday, right? And then
Well,
we'll
no.
just
Then
be
when he
assholes.
goes against Diego and all that meat's still sitting in his colon, he could lock on a
Oh,
triangle and fart
oh
and
no.
make.
Oh, oh God. The old school death by triangle because of the
Yeah,
smelly parts.
the
Oh
death by
Lord.
muffler juice.
Oh, yeah, good old Joey Diaz special right there. That's what I call the Uncle Joey. I'm gonna hit the win by Uncle Joey. But yeah, he's gonna be on. I believe he's coming on like 9:15 after teaching and training, obviously, on Monday. So I'm excited there. And then the Monday following, who do we have?
Eddie Truck Gordon.
I'm telling you, it's
I can't wait to talk to him,
yeah,
man.
he's got stuff
He's
going
gonna
on.
let give us he's gonna give us the lowdown
Yeah.
on what went on in that house as to why he was never getting the shots to come back that were very rightfully deserved to be his. I know there were a lot of things going on with Dana and TJ. Like every if you noticed in that season, TJ was getting his way with everything, which is kind
Yep.
of funny since he was not the champ.
No. No.
So TJ was kind of getting his way with everything, and I think he's going to tell us some plans for Truck in the UFC. So I'm excited to have him back on.
I'm excited too, man. I can't wait. And you know what? I can't wait. It's like we're closing a loop in a way because he's the guy that came on what like our third show
Third show, first
something
guest.
right, and he was the first guest. He was the first big name, the first big grab, and we've grown since then. You know, and I'll always be forever grateful both to you for getting him. I'll never forget, but also for him for coming on and he talked for a good long while. I thought he
He
was
was
gonna
on the
be,
entire show.
yeah, and I thought he was gonna be one of those, you know, because he's a big name. It's Eddie fucking Gordon. So I thought, hey, he's gonna give us a quick 16, you know, like throw some bars out and then be fucking gone. But he stayed for the whole time, and I feel it was a great interview. You listen back, it's episode 3. He was very forthright. You know, I think he probably dropped a couple things that maybe he shouldn't have, but I love him for it. You know,
Even answered phone calls from
right?
fans.
He answered phone calls. I threw out crazy fight promotion names at him, and you know I might have been correct. We'll
Hey,
see.
it's what's funny? You
See on
predicted he
Monday.
was going to Ryzen, and now we're a sponsor in Ryzen.
Dude, you know what? It's that what the secret, right? That crazy book. I just got to think things, and then they happen. So I'm gonna think of waking up next to a giant pile of cash and see what see what the future has
Yeah.
in store. You know. But yeah, we got some pretty good guests coming up, and as a result of that, I think what we're going to be doing, we discussed this earlier this week. We'll probably be doing Friday shows via the video format. going forward, just to kind of discuss the week's happenings with the, I know you'd love to talk about this forever, right? But with the Conor Mayweather shenanigans going on, that'll take one of our shows, but at least we'll have like another platform to discuss more in depth of actual other fights going on.
Yeah,
So
you know what it is. It's just it's a lot harder to cram it into the podcast when we have a guest.
yeah,
We always want to keep having guests come on because there's
for
just
sure.
all interesting people throughout the world of
Hmm.
MMA. Tyler King was a great guest.
Crazy characters, man.
Yeah.
Crazy
I mean, it's
characters.
this entire month we have a week.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
the video is kind of a fun way for us on a Friday to kind of, like you said, talk about the happenings that happened in the week,
Hmm.
or get really into in depth on the fight cards that are coming on a Saturday or maybe even a Sunday.
Yeah. I think we broke this one down
So this
pretty
is all
pretty
for
well.
you, people. This
So
is all for you. We're taking time out to do this for you because we love our fans so much and we have a lot
absolutely.
of fun doing this because there's nothing better talking shit, right? AKA, right? AKA Thailand,
Oh
right?
man, I'm telling you, AKA
Right?
Thailand is
Connor's manager,
oh
Michelle. I know who
Mich-
you are, pal.
Michelle.
We
Well,
got you, man.
he was on the Queen of the South, I think, right? He's an extra
Yeah.
and
Michelle F.A. Abul, I think that was what his name was.
pronounced it with some respect. You racist, all right? Please, like let's
Yeah.
let's say it the right way, lest we get accused. Or you know what? I guess I can say anything, and then you'll just catch the heat. I love that we
Pretty
figured that
much.
out.
That seems how it's gone on.
You're like the big brother I never had. In order to just I can just throw stuff on, just have you
You know what
do
that
fucking
means, dude? All that means to me is that our name is getting out there in different circles,
yeah.
get
It's
louder and
it's
louder and
exciting.
louder.
I'm excited. Talk shit all you want, man. I'm super excited. We have four hosts that can jump in at any time. We're a crazy four-headed monster, and I know all four of us can rock it on comments ad nauseum. So I mean, I was waiting for Chris and Carl to get on. If they had, I think we might have had an international incident. The two of us took it to a certain extent as it was, but yeah, we're growing, man, and I think more things like this are going to be the key. So I look forward to them every Friday.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Again, the Pride Rules podcast is going to be on Monday. We might start it. I think we'll start it at the same time, 8:30, and then we'll just have Mikey come on at 9. We're brought to you by 80K Fightwear, Black Hole Jiu Jitsu, of which Mike Wacker's the head, and he'll be on, and Madama Jiu Jitsu, Mr. Madama. We love you. Come on down. Tommy's rocking the colors. It's an open door policy, sir. I'd love to, it's you're OG in the jiu-jitsu community, so it's a selfish ask because I want to hear all this, Tommy, all the crazy stories from back in the
Yeah,
day
well,
with
they got they got a pretty big month coming up next month. Of Flow Grappling Super Fights. Four of our guys are in super fight on the super fight card along with Tom DeBlas.
beautiful.
So
Get them on to
yeah,
chat
they're in
about it.
Team Madama right now.
Yeah, get them. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm
anybody.
in the works with doing that.
Yeah,
I'm in the
we'd love to
works.
talk jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah,
Now three of us on the show train, or four technically with Kareem, right?
yeah,
Yeah, because I think Carl's getting back into it. He's a ex grappler himself.
Chris,
Or Chris
Chris.
says Carl should be getting into it, but he's a little
He's
tied
into a
up.
different kind of grappling right now.
No,
He's Insta grappling, I think it's
he's
called.
into that Simone slap dance is what is
Hmm.
what he's getting into.
He's
Anywho,
into horizontal
it,
horizontal mambo
bro,
submissions.
the low hanging fruit is the tastiest sometimes.
Yeah.
Tom, I'll tell you.
Ask the people
Anywho,
on Instagram if they were low hanging.
oh, oh. Anyway, I seem to have misplaced my remote control. I don't know where it's at, but for Tommy D, this is Omar, the joint manipulator. I think, right, technically, or El Professor. I think
Yeah,
we're going with the second one. Um, this the Pride Rules
David
podcast.
Duke.
We'll
I
see you.
think I think that's your name now.
What?
David Duke Sangarema.
Oh Jesus! You make one camel reference in regards to Iranians, and the world loses their minds, man. I don't know. My name's Omar. They got to be Muslim somewhere. Anyway, I love everybody. Come on. So, Pride Rules podcast on Monday. Tune in. We got Mike Wacker on, and we'll see you guys then. Take it easy.